Here are 3 reasons why to subscribe to Fringe Financials on YouTube. Number 1, it is free, which is the best price that you can pay for this kind of content. 2, I am completely transparent with all of my investments. And number 3, I have a variety of educational videos every single week. Now let's get on with the video. What is up, YouTube, and welcome back to another Fringe Financials video. In today's video, TikTok or tax tampering. We are talking about this new article that has come out on Yahoo Finance about illegal tax advice on TikTok. And if you're excited for today's video or just genuinely curious and are going to be watching to hear what this is about, make sure that you consider smashing the thumbs up button, of course, and subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to force you to subscribe, but every subscriber is awesome to see. We're at 56, which is absolutely awesome. Our next goal is 60. So if we're not at 60 yet and you're watching this and you're not subscribed, again, tell me why, because I don't know, I think I do pretty good here, but you know, of course I can always do better. I'm not one of those fancy YouTubers, but you know, just let me know what things I can do better, you know, things, you know, if you hate my voice, obviously, like I say, let me know. I'll put a voice changer on or something. But anyways, we're going to dive into this here. So this article here says dangerous and illegal tax advice on TikTok targets millennials and Gen Z with W-2s. Now, before I even dive into this article here, I wanted to know if there was anything else that came up in the recent years of other social media tax fraud services. And it happened in Australia, actually. This is from the 2022 tax season, and it came out in August of 2023. So they are reeling from a $1 billion TikTok fraud scheme here. Essentially, what this article goes into talking about is, so they had a scheme that was going around on TikTok that people were posting. And again, TikTok has the word of mouth is insane. It's not just like a he said, she said kind of thing. It's thousands upon, if not millions of people are watching these videos every single day. You know, so the scheme that they had here, it exploited 2 key facts. The first is that the Australian Taxation Office, which is going to be known as the ATO from this point on, had made it easier for businesses to receive an Australian business number and register for GST. GST is goods and services taxes, essentially focusing on business expenses that you can do for write-offs. Okay. The second is that businesses essentially file with the ATO on an honor code system, a self-assessment system. This means that the government, in its words, treats taxpayers as being honest by default. So those are the 2 things that they're exploiting here in this scheme here. And it's not like a crazy complex tax fraud scheme here. It's actually it sounds like it's pretty straightforward. The ATO investigates if and when taxpayer activity triggers some risk indicators. It is maintaining a 4-year period of review in case it needs to amend a taxpayer filing because of special circumstances like fraud or evasion. For me personally, I don't know what it is in the United States here, but I always hold my tax paperwork for I think about like at least 5 years, just in case anything comes flagged up from the IRS. I do not do tax fraud or I do not do tax evasion. I pay my taxes every single year, but I like to hold it just in case. You know, it's always good to hold your tax paperwork every single year, at least for a 5-year period is what I usually do. I think I still have mine longer because I'm afraid of throwing them all out or shredding them. But yeah, so it's always good when you do your taxes, make sure you're holding on to them in case, because, you know, whether you're in a different country or wherever you are, you can have them be flagged and you have to bring up your tax paperwork and everything else. Anyways, so in knowing these 2 major facts here, participants in the scheme would create a fake business. Again, they're going on the honor code system here, so they're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's a fake business, yeah, go ahead. And obtain an Australian business number. They would then use that number to submit business activity statements that would falsely report that they had accrued business expenses. So again, when you have a business expense and you put that money back into the company, you're able to use it as a tax write-off. It's not like you get the whole thing written off, but you can get some things written off, whether it's like a vehicle. If you buy a vehicle, you can get that as a tax write-off in some instances and those kind of things. So people were just doing a bunch of fake business expenses and writing them off on their taxes for the end of the year. Some taxpayers were reportedly claiming hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of expenses to get a hefty refund. The fraud spread so quickly that they would end up issuing at least $1.2 billion in fraudulent refunds. Again, they put in a massive investigation once they caught on to it, and it's the largest tax fraud in Australian history. Now they've fixed everything. They've recovered $66 million. Not, you know, they're looking at $1.2 billion. They're not even a tenth of the way there yet. But doubts the move to get everything back. So they bumped up their requirements for proof and everything else. So they've learned from that one. But they have had this thing where social media is like a two-way street here, or it's a double-edged sword. A lot of people will use social media for outreach, for making connections, for staying in touch with people, and that's what it's good for. But with social media also these days, there's the spread of misinformation. There's these kind of widespread videos that can go viral that's not even accurate, and then as a result, these kind of things can happen here. So that was just one thing I was like, oh, there was tax fraud from before. So it was on Australia though. Okay, so diving into this video now, or into this article, I should say. It's still the same video, of course. So, viral TikTok posts are telling Americans to stop paying taxes by illegally exempting themselves from tax withholdings. Okay, basically saying that you are exempting yourself from taxes. So the video suggests that it's possible to avoid paying federal taxes by selecting exempt on IRS Form W-4 or employees withholding certificates. The video urges viewers to reach out to their employers and request $0 tax withholding, assuring that companies have to comply. No, not how that works. And again, what does it mean to be tax exempt or to have tax exempt income? Okay, tax exempt refers to income or transactions that are free from tax at the federal, state, or local level. The reporting of tax-free items may be on a taxpayer's individual or business tax return and shown for informational purposes only. Okay. This is the common tax exempt earnings here. Not to be confused with a deduction, which is a whole different situation. Tax exemption frees the taxpayer of any tax obligation to submit taxes on the tax-free transactions or income. Okay, but there's certain restrictions to tax exemption. You can't just say it because you don't want to pay taxes. That's what this video was talking about. They're just like, just put exempt. It's fine. You won't have to pay taxes. No. One common type is interest earned on municipal bonds, which are bonds issued by states or cities to raise funds for general operations or a specific project. Basically, a bond is basically you're loaning money to the government to fund projects, whether it's through, state, local, federal, whatever. And since you're loaning the money for it, the money you make from it could be considered a tax exempt, which is what it's talking about right here. Capital gains is another one as well. Alternate minimum exemptions. It's a whole different thing for taxes, but an exempt organization that is one that has $1,000 or more of gross profit from an related business must file like 990T, whatever. A 501c3, again, there's links to all this stuff here. Nonprofit is a charitable organization that the IRS recognizes as tax exempt. Okay, so there are 5 common groups that are exempt from taxes. Okay, the first one is not-for-profit organizations. Okay, so these are the people, these are the companies, these are the people that are essentially are the ones that do in fact have tax exemption that they can do legally. Okay, they can do, and the IRS is like, yes, that does in fact count. Not-for-profit ones are 100% one of them. Okay. Again, it dictates that any organization that qualifies to be classified under this section is exempt from paying income taxes, again, which is a tax exempt. Qualifying organizations include religious, educational, and humanitarian entities such as churches, synagogues, universities, hospitals, and the Red Cross, homeless shelters, and other groups that seek to improve our society. So, anyone that has any kind of charity or any kind of charitable organization where you're trying to give back to, the community and those kind of things, those are not-for-profits. Those are the ones that have tax exemptions. U.S. citizens that are working abroad. I didn't know this one, but it makes sense. If you live and work overseas, it is possible that you may not pay taxes to Uncle Sam because if you think about it, you're working overseas. You're not working for the United States. But again, I think it all kind of depends on the situation and everything else. And then this one here, low-income taxpayers. If you earn an income that does not exceed the standard deduction, you do not need to pay taxes or file a tax return. For example, a married couple must have earned at least $27,700 in 2023 of last year, or this year $29,200 before the IRS requires them to file their taxes. If you have made as a married couple this amount in 2024, or you made this much amount last year, if you made less than this amount, you are not subject to you are able to have exemptions from your taxes. Okay, because you're not making enough money, you can barely survive on that much money as it is. You cannot paying taxes on that is like you already can barely afford bills and everything else. I know that when I first started working with my part-time job, I was only making like $5,000-$6,000 maybe a year, so I was being exempt from taxes because I wasn't making like that much money on that one. So again, it tells you the filing status, single, 13,800. If you make this much or more in 2023, you have to file taxes. If you make less than that, you don't have to. And here's the same thing for 2024. Same information for that as well. So again, not just anybody can do a tax exempt and then not have to pay your taxes. That is not how that works. Some taxpayers can write off deductions, most of which are all their income with personal deductions. For example, someone who incurs a substantial medical bill may be able to claim this on Schedule A. So if you have a lot of deductions, then that's a whole other situation. And with many dependents here. So again, if you already are also having low income on top of having many dependents, you're not going to be subject to paying their taxes on that one. You can do for exemption as well. Generally, you do not have to pay taxes if your income is less than the standard deduction, you have a certain number of dependents working abroad, or are below the required thresholds, or a qualified nonprofit. Basically that. Okay. So you can't just file it because you want to. That's just not how this works. There's stipulations and requirements and everything else here. I don't know why. This is why I hate TikTok, and it's not just me bashing TikTok, because it's probably on Instagram and Facebook and everything else too. It's probably on other social media platforms, not just TikTok, but I think TikTok is probably the most popular one for the younger generation. And this video talks about that, which is really, really, unfortunate for the up and coming people that are just getting their first job and everything else. The video further implies that not having taxes withheld means not paying taxes, a false claim that can land taxpayers in trouble with the IRS. Okay. The videos where people are telling others to claim exemption on W-4 are very dangerous. This is coming from an actual CPA, not me. This is from a certified public accountant and CEO of his CPA firm based in New York City. That's not how it works, and there are some serious implications involved with many people do not know. Falsely claiming exemption on W-4 doesn't mean you get to skip out on federal taxes like the videos imply. I have never seen these videos, thankfully. I don't want to see them, because as someone who's a financial person who loves to talk finance and to learn finance, I would just be disgusted by these things here. In fact, taxpayers would need to pay back all their taxes due for the year during the filing season, and may even be subject to penalties and interest. The social media platform popular with millennials, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is littered with other bad advice. Taxpayers beware, or be prepared for the tax man. Okay, so again, if you file exempt, that's first of all, that's falsely doing it. Unless you have the right to, you don't have a right to file that. You have to fit into one of these 5 major categories that I just kind of went over here on this article here. It's on Investopedia, in case you ever want to look into the article yourself, of course. But again, you may be subject to paying penalties and interest as well. So you might even have to pay even more than your taxes because of, interest and everything else. So this goes into even more. So a quick search of TikTok turns up videos baiting as unassuming taxpayers with flashy text declaring how rich people write off their dogs on taxes and how you can be non-taxable. Again, I know people are upset with how the wealthy are able to have so many tax deductions and not pay a lot in taxes or pay anything in taxes. The most common thing that people do, that the rich do, is that when they're CEOs of companies, they put themselves as a yearly income basis of like $1. And again, that's way under that threshold, so you don't pay taxes on that. Most of their money is in their corporation or is in stock options, which aren't taxed until you actually sell them and take the money and you actually, execute the trade and whatever else it is. So the most common thing that CEOs do is they say, I don't have any income. I get paid in stock options, and my net worth is in stock options and in my company. It's not me getting paid. I don't get paid a lot from the company every year. I get paid $1, or whatever it is. So it is unfortunate because tax law is already somewhat confusing to the average person. Definitely true. I think if you look at your taxes, I know people always ask tax questions all the time, all over the place. Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do that? Now you have people who candidly don't know what they're talking about posting videos. What the TikTok gurus don't say is that taxpayers would need to pay an entire tax bill in April if they didn't have any taxes withheld during the year. That is definitely a true statement, okay? You can either have your taxes taken out throughout the year in small chunks and then not have as much taken out in April, or get a refund if you overpay. A tax refund is when you overpay on your taxes. So If my income, I had to pay $4,000 in taxes, and I paid $5,000 over that course of 12 months, I'm entitled to $1,000 back in a refund. So it's not like it's like extra money come back in. It's money that I overpaid for. That's what a refund is. On the other side, if you don't pay enough, say I pay only $4,000 in taxes and I need to pay $5,000, when I file my taxes in April or March or whenever, I have to pay an additional $1,000. But if you don't pay any taxes, if you have nothing taken out for taxes for the entire year, and then you file your taxes, you have a big tax bill coming in April that you will need to pay. Okay, that's what it's talking about here. And if they didn't have any taxes held through the year, you have the entire tax bill in April. And if that bill is not paid, then you can get paid penalties and interest on outstanding balances. So if you owe like $5,000 in taxes, they're going to hit you with some interest if you don't pay that. And again, that's not like 2 cents. That might be a couple $100, a month or whatever, but it still adds up over time. That tax you didn't pay throughout the year on your paycheck because you claimed exemption now becomes due. You can't just claim it and say, oh, I claimed it. It doesn't matter. It's there. Okay, you're going to pay more because of various penalties and interest and everything else. Again, furthermore, the tax agency can go after taxpayers who skip filing returns and charge those who commit serious delinquencies with tax evasion, a felony punishable by fine or imprisonment. So these TikTok gurus, quote unquote, are saying, hey, if you do exemption, don't pay your taxes. Then in April, if they file their taxes, they don't pay it because they claimed it was exempt. You can be punishable by a fine or imprisonment for tax evasion. Okay, tax fraud is one thing where you're filing your taxes and claiming things that aren't even legit. Like you claim like a bunch of dependents that aren't a thing. But tax evasion is like you're just not paying them like at all, and that's a felony punishable by fine or imprisonment. All these aggressive collection actions can come into play. Again, this is from Ali. If you don't pay in full, make plans to pay, or go into a payment agreement, then they can levy your bank account and garnish your paycheck. If you can't pay all your taxes at once, you can make a plan to pay as you go or go into a payment agreement with the IRS. They are not like monsters in that aspect of being like, give me all your money or we will fine you. They can figure out a way to have payment plans so you can pay as you go. But if you don't even try to show that you're paying them, they will levy your bank account and garnish your paycheck. So they will get their money one way or another, no matter what. These are some pictures from it, I guess. And again, these videos have 58,000 likes. Let's not pay taxes then. Screw the government. Another crazy thing. While the IRS does not allow exemptions from withholding to certain taxpayers, the W-4 form instructions clearly state 2 requirements. The first is taxpayers must not have had tax liability last year, and the second is taxpayers must expect no tax liability in the current tax year. Again, nobody ever mentions that in those videos. I would say 99.9% of people should not be exempting withholdings. And again, this is another person that's a certified tax advisor who has his own tax solutions and everything else. The phony claims run rampant on social media, garnering millions of views. One creator who advised taxpayers to stop paying taxes by stopping federal withholding declared on the platform that he is now non-taxable. Non-taxable is this group of people these are the common ones. There might be other ones as well, but these are the ones that are most common. These people are non-taxable with valid reason and are within the legality of it. You can't just say you're non-taxable. The video got nearly 500,000 views though. I mean, that's just bonkers to me. Absolutely insane. Other videos promote similar misinformation, egging U.S. taxpayers to go on tax strike and arguing no taxation without representation. One video waved around a W-4T voluntary withholding agreement for viewers to submit to their human resource department. There is no such form. What? Like, they're just making their own forms for taxes now? Like, okay, I guess. He published a rival video, so this guy went back on TikTok and putting education out there and everything else. And again, you have a lot more of a younger generation on TikTok. That's why this one's probably getting a lot of views for it. They're getting a job for the first time or changing jobs. So they need to be educated the right way about how taxes work. The legal stuff, which I thought this all was, but it's not. One recurring topic in the videos is the misinformation that filing and paying taxes is voluntary. But the truth is that the U.S. Constitution gives Congress the power to tax Americans in Article 1, Section 8, the Taxing and Spending Clause. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. Again, I'm not an English person, to be honest with you. There's a group of folks who are known as tax protesters where they basically don't pay their taxes. And every time they go to court, they say their taxes are unconstitutional. And they always lose. So, why even go to court? Like, You just go to court and waste judges' time. Like, who cares? Like, it's so stupid. In a recent court case, a man was charged with tax evasion, accused of falsifying his W-4 since 2014, claiming up to 99 dependents, which is insane, and exempting himself from withholding. The court ordered Darby to pay over $308,000 to the IRS in back taxes, interest, and penalties. So that was definitely not nearly as much as he owed in taxes, but with interest and penalties. And he had to serve 12 months and 1 year in jail. So fine, jail time, love it. Whether the IRS will prosecute people for spreading false information in the future, there could be a chance they could come out and try to press charges on these people who are spreading false information for things, but they're not just there just yet. Again, meanwhile, the misleading videos continue to spread, so I couldn't believe that. It was absolutely insane here. And here's what really frustrates me. First of all, if you made this far in this video and you're not subscribed, that frustrates me a little bit. But I understand if you're not. But if you are this far in the video, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, of course. But these videos right here are blowing up public information, whatever. This is literally like tax fraud or, illegal tax advice. But meanwhile, this is a video that I did post on my Fridge Financials TikTok page, and it was me recording my ticker trading challenge trades for the week. And they flagged this and said, this is fraud and scam. This is my personal portfolio and me recording and showing the in-depth of my trades, about the money I'm making, the money I'm losing. Legit is my account. If you've been watching my short videos, you know that's what it is. It's on Instagram and it's not been taken down because Instagram is better. TikTok flagged me for this, and I now have a strike on TikTok for my personal showing of my brokerage account and my investments and being completely transparent with my trades. And that's fraud and scams, but this is not. TikTok is a joke. Instagram is better. I'm a little salty about that, to be honest with you. But anyways, yeah, I couldn't believe that, to be honest. So again, if you are scrolling on TikTok, be careful, tread lightly. If you think you have some misinformation, go online and look it up yourself. There's plenty of internet access available for you to, have different articles, those kind of things. Make sure you're doing it from legit websites and everything else. But thank you so much for watching today's video. Again, TikTok is tax tampering right now. That's what I came up with for a title for today's videos here. So thank you so much for watching. Of course, you made it this far. Consider smashing the thumbs up button. It is a 22-minute video, which is insane. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Any comments you have, please, of course, always leave them down below in the comment section. I hope you guys are making money in the market, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.